episode of The Follow-Up. I'm Eden, and this is my dad Noah, and for almost 4 years, we've just been sitting in my bed and having a conversation about something we want to talk about. And this week, unfortunately, again, we had this conversation in January of 2023. We're going to talk about just feeling excluded. And it's a hard topic even for me to talk about, but I feel like it's important to talk about it because other people feel this way, and it's important for other people just to hear how to handle them, and that other people feel that way also.
Right, so it's important, I think, for other people to know that they're not alone in maybe the way that they're feeling. And this is a conversation that we've had a lot, unfortunately, with you and Mom, the three of us. And off the bat, I give you a ton of credit for talking about this. Of course, we never say where you go to school, who you go with. We never say anything about anybody else's names, anything like that. But this is an important conversation so that we keep talking about it and so that others can hopefully benefit from it as well.
Yeah.
So
I think in our conversation in January 2023, I think we also talked about just like other situations with people when you're having a hard time and also how to deal with those.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
I think it's important, not even just with exclusion, but just like having problems just like at school with other people, like socially, they're tough.
Yeah, they are. And something that I know that we've talked to you about, teacher, guidance counselor, that you're extremely emotionally aware. That's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah. And
it will carry you far in life. But at the moment, we know that most other kids are not at the level where you are in terms of emotional awareness and understanding how to, not to say that you handle every situation perfectly, but how not to handle certain situations and dealing with others on that type of emotional level.
And I feel like one thing, just to build on to that, is that I feel like me as a person, I have extremely high expectations of people.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I'd agree with that.
I feel like when I'm looking at someone for a friend or something, I just think of someone who, like, the first thing that comes to mind is someone that gives me respect.
Yeah.
Like, and not just a little bit, like, a lot.
Yeah. And all the things that come along with that it's someone that you can trust, that you can say, you can tell things to, and they're not hot and cold, like one day, we're friends. The next day, no, that's not the way friendships work.
That doesn't mean, like, I might not have an argument with someone.
Sure, of course.
But that doesn't mean, like, I'm screaming at that person every single day.
Right, you can have disagreements and still, like Mom and I have disagreements. We love each other and we're married.
Everybody has disagreements.
Of course. So,
but I don't need to be like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. So one of the most difficult things here for you is you not knowing and us not knowing what the cause of it is, like why certain kids are treating you this way, you specifically. So without, like, no one else has ever brought anything to our attention, like, well, Eden did this. Okay, all right, so now we can discuss that, but that's never been brought to our attention. We don't know where any of this comes from. So if you could talk about a few of the examples recently that I think are microcosms, meaning like small things that tell a bigger story about what's been going on, and in hopes that maybe others are feeling the same way.
So at our school, every few months we elect new people for our lunch tables. 4 people on a lunch table. You write down 3 people, your 3 choices on an index card.
Anonymously.
Of
course.
Anonymously. Can't say. Whatever. And sometimes, which you're not supposed to do, people talk about who they're going to write down. So one time I sat at a lunch table, and one person said they were going to elect 2 of the people at my lunch table. That one of them wasn't me, and someone else at a different lunch table. So I was the only one who wouldn't be sitting at that lunch table. Doesn't mean all those people would sit at that lunch table, but they talked about that in front of me, saying, I'm going to elect person 1, person 2, and person 3 at that table. You? No. And that hurts. Because, and I always say, hey, like, can we, if they like start and say, hey, can we not talk about this? Because some people might feel excluded, and then if they say it, I'll say, hey, why'd you talk about that in front of me if you talked about everybody else but not me? Or why'd you exclude me here? Like, what's the point of talking about it in front of me if I'm not part of the conversation here?
Yeah. How would you feel?
Yeah.
So when you say that,
do you want me to? I could elect you, like person 1, person 2, person 3. You're not invited.
Right. How would you feel?
Yeah.
So when you say that, what's the response?
Like, they don't know what to say. It's like, oh, there's nothing. There's no like really like recognition of it. It's just like,
and you know that it hasn't registered because it's happened multiple times.
It's happened at every single lunch table. Not like with everybody except me, but they keep talking about it.
Right, and have you've tried to stop these conversations, even if you were going to be included on that list. Who knows if you were or not?
I don't care.
Exactly, because what's the point?
Right, exactly. There is no point.
Right, it can only lead to someone
people.
feeling badly.
Yeah, and then like another example was a few days ago at school. We were in part of our school. There were some tables. You got to sit down at whatever table you wanted. People would just fill in. So I sat at an open table.
You were the first one in the room?
One of the first.
Yeah.
I was like second in line.
Mm-hmm.
I just sat at the first open table I saw. And everybody else started filing in at all the other tables except mine. And the 3 last people who were left, there was one person who said, oh, I have to sit here. And nobody else sat down until the last 3 people that were left.
It feels awful.
Yeah, it feels awful. Because, like, everybody else tries to sit with everybody except the people who get banned was sitting with their friends.
Right, because they're disruptive together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have encouraged you, and what you've done in the past, to say to that person, why would you say that? Like, what's your deal? And in the past, when you have done that with certain kids,
Never answer.
Their response is usually just to turn around and run away, or to say, you can't tell me what to do.
Yeah, they just like don't answer the question. Which is frustrating. Because once I say something, I guess it kind of registers a little bit. Like a tiny bit.
Mm-hmm. I understand.
Like, oh, it registers as this person's angry at me. I am in trouble with them.
Yeah, but it's more like think about how this makes someone else feel. And don't you go through in school, you have a social emotional learning SEL program.
And we just talked about friendship. And we had these cards that we wrote down, and honestly, it was like what you would look for in a friend. Like, one of the things I wrote down was like someone that's respectful. And I noticed when she read some of them out loud, no names or anything, but pretty much everybody had the same things they look for. But it doesn't seem like I'm getting many of these things that people look for in a friend to me. Mm-hmm. If I give it, like, if let's say I give someone respect, I'm not getting that back from anybody.
Yeah. And do you feel like over the years that because you do have high expectations of people, and Mom and I do also, do you feel like you have not given people second chances or third chances because you have expectations? Are you one to say, well, this person did this, like, forget him forever? Or are you one to give someone more and more chances?
I think I want to give someone a few chances.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I'll give maybe some. I've given some people
lots of chances.
A ton.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would say I give them, like, probably more than I should.
Yeah.
And I have to say, pretty much none of those have turned out positively.
Yeah, and the reason why you give, or what you share with us, the reason why you give these people so many chances is because you're around them every day.
And I don't want to be in misery with this person, and I see them every day. They're in my class, and I'm like totally angry with them. Like, that's not
Yeah.
an enjoyable place to be in an environment. It's not an enjoyable environment if you're angry at people.
Right. And look, I remember being in elementary school and, having my group of friends.
Yeah.
And not, like, we weren't friends with, I wasn't friends with everybody in the class. But it wasn't like you went out of your way to, like, be rude to somebody.
No.
Or,
you weren't, like, against anybody.
No. And that's what it feels like, that you've said that kids will just, like, gang up on you and you're just at a loss, like, whoa, wait, what?
Yeah,
why is this happening?
Yeah, like, I know, like saying, like, ganging up, like, I was, like, someone gave me something to hold for, like, a part of recess, and someone said, why are you letting her hold this? She's so horrible. Like, and then you're telling, like, okay, like,
and then,
that's insane to begin with, but then you're telling somebody else.
Right, trying to get that person on your side.
Yeah.
On their side. But then, what is also hard to come to grips with is that, in this example, the person who, like, gave you something to hold, who was being friendly, fine, that day. That person didn't say, no, she's not. She didn't stand up for you. And the shame of, it's at school, so you're around these kids every day. Has it impacted the way you think about your other friendships? Like, the kids you're friends with who have left school but have moved, or your camp friends, or
definitely.
Anybody else? It's made you, how so?
I think I value those anyway, but I think I value those even more now.
Nice.
Because they're just very important.
You recognize they're good people.
Yeah.
And you recognize that they value you, so you're going to spend your energy showing them that you value them.
Yeah, like, even just, like going somewhere to see them is so important, I feel like.
Yeah. It's,
like, great to see them. Like, I know I'm going to get to see 2 friends soon. Even, like, hopefully even more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm glad that this experience hasn't, it would be, like, jaded you or hardened you to not wanting to, being afraid to try to make other friends, because you've made other friends and you can see how much they value and you can see how much they respect you, and you can find joy in knowing that, okay, I'm not an awful person. I know who I am, and these people know who I am and love me for that. Yeah. And for whatever reason, these other kids just don't. And it's frustrating. Yes, it's frustrating. It's disappointing. But as we talked about before, I know that you go to school every day with, like, a new outlook.
Yeah, positive mindset.
Yeah.
Like, okay, let's start fresh. Clear your mind, and it'll get filled up with whatever happens today. Hopefully, all positive things.
And it just doesn't. So you're not. It's not like you're starting with a glass empty. Like, new day, new glass.
Like the trash, like the trash can on someone's computer. It's empty.
Yeah, right. So, maybe it's 1 or 2 things, but then it's all right. It was just those 2 things. It's not like every day you're starting up here with a full trash can, and then all of a sudden everything is just overflowing and it's overwhelming. And I always hope that you know that you talk to us about everything. We know that it is extremely frustrating and disheartening, and we're doing everything we can to try to get to the bottom of it. But Mom and I give you so much credit for, and I know other adults do too, for going about this the way you're going about it, because no kid deserves it, especially someone like you who is not essentially bringing this on themselves. You're not picking on other kids or being a bully to other kids. It's for no reason that we could try to even imagine. Do you have we said that you were going to talk about this because we think it might help some other kids. Do you have some advice if some kid says to their parents, "Oh, like, all right, well, Ethan's going through this, but like, how could I handle this?"
I think
Something that maybe that we've talked about before together.
I think always one of the best ways you've told me, and it's proven to be true, is questioning somebody else. Like, just ask a simple question. Hey, why'd you do this? Or tell them, like, be completely honest with them. Like, it made me feel this way. And I want you to know that. So what can we do about this? Because I don't want to be this way, like angry or whatever you feel with them at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And say, like, I want to get on, maybe not, like, be friends again, but, like, you don't say that, but just get on some common ground.
Yeah.
And let's figure out a way to do that. Like, what can we both do to put in some effort so we can solve this problem?
Yeah.
Or just
Try to hold each other accountable a little bit. Yeah.
Because now you're both doing something, and sometimes that helps just, like, to talk it out with the other person.
Yeah. Is it difficult to try to find that one-on-one time to do that? Because, like, at recess, no one's gonna want to, like, do this at recess and spend their recess time.
Sometimes.
So is it tough to try to find this time? How could you find it?
Sometimes I do it after school.
Mm-hmm. That's usually the best, right?
It's usually the best after school.
Yeah. So I can only hope that each day, like every day, we've always asked you, first question is, what was the best part about your day? So that there is some sort of joy.
Yeah, some
there. Good. Yeah. And that you always know that how valued you are, not just by us and not by other family, but by other friends.
Yeah.
Feel okay? Glad we talked about it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too. I'm really, really proud of you.